Chapter Run 1 A Boy Who Loves Meat. Lugia Star, belonging to the 4th Administrative District of the Galaxy Federation, is the most remote star in the Federation. It should have only been a code name, but because of the brutal battles that broke out in defending the Federation, it was named after the highest-ranking general, Major General Luogia, who died there. Although it is a special case, it is still forgotten by most people. There was a thick layer of space junk floating around the planet, and the only safe route was a special passage for the planet's management staff. Every 2 months, a batch of supplies below the federal per capita level would be delivered to the planet. Most people were still struggling on the bottom line of hunger and poverty. In District 22, the central city area was still brightly lit and bustling with people. It was almost evening, and under the grey sky, 2 completely different scenes, bustling and dead silent, were extremely harmonious. In an abandoned factory kilometers away from the urban area, messy industrial waste can be seen everywhere, and fragments of mechas that were damaged in battle and could not be repaired are also piled everywhere. On this resource-scarce planet, those in power do not have that much energy and kindness to deal with these wastes. The free labor in the slums will help them solve these annoying problems, and it will also save the government a lot of expenses. Why not do it? The surroundings were a silent wilderness, with the occasional squeak. At this time, in a corner of the factory, sparks flashed from time to time, a bonfire burned quietly, and a slender figure was reflected on the ruins. 17 years old, doesn't know who his parents are. His adoptive parents told him that they found him behind a trash can when they were scavenging. It was just dawn, and the light of the stars shone evenly and softly on the baby's face along the horizon. When his adoptive father picked up the child, he found 2 tags falling off his body. One dark yellow wooden tag was engraved with Mu, and the other ink black metal tag was engraved with Fan. Without thinking too much about the order of the 2 words, his adoptive father, who had read a few books, named him Mu Fan because it was easy to pronounce. He didn't ask his adoptive parents when he was young and ignorant. When he was a little older, his adoptive parents went out to scavenge during a space pirate attack and were killed by a stray bullet. Mu Fan didn't have any more opportunities to ask about the details. That year he was 10 years old. Mu Fan is not talkative, but he is very sensible. He did not cry after receiving the news. He returned to the shabby hut and found the torn leather gloves he had picked up before. He came out and started to do labor for people near and far, both known and unknown. He carried things, washed dishes in restaurants on the outskirts of the city, delivered express to citizens in the formal city, and came back to find waste products in the garbage piled up in the factory to sell. He was the only one left, and he had to survive. It has been 7 years since my parents passed away. Mu Fan looked up at the bonfire in front of him, then continued to sharpen a knife that was shining with cold light. He had not taken too much care of his appearance, with a head of black hair, a not so strong body, and a decent height. When he raised his eyelids, his brown pupils were exposed, but if you look closely, you would find that deep in his brown pupils, there was a flash of red from time to time, like a rose or precipitated blood. At this time, the weather in District No. 22 was getting colder. Mu Fan was wearing a canvas jacket and a pair of oily work pants. Taking advantage of the rest time at night, he came out to polish his weapon, the dagger made of industrial alloy. He was at the age when he was growing up and was prone to hunger. He saved the money he earned from working every week and went to the second-hand book market to collect the books that were sold in packages. The remaining money was enough for a normal person to eat 2 packs of the lowest-grade synthetic food every day. But it was just enough to keep him from starving to death. If he didn't go out to find food himself, it meant that this situation would continue. One day, on his way back, he saw Old Vulture taking off not far away. Kiri saw a black shadow falling from the sky. It was half a plant rat. In the jumping flames, Mu Fan tasted meat for the first time. One of the survival standards Mu Fan set for himself was to go out hunting twice a week. No matter whether it was a large animal or a small animal, alive or dead, as long as he could get something, he would win. He needed this energy too much, because he could clearly feel the desire of every cell in his body for that kind of meat. Chala spark flew out. Mu Fan put away the dagger, held the blade lightly with his left hand, looked at the firelight, narrowed his eye. Tonight he wanted to eat meat! The night on the planet Roga is as cold as steel, making people tremble to the bone. Mu Fan, however, was walking in the wilderness with his upper body exposed. The scars on his body were like battle medals, and his thin figure displayed natural and beautiful muscle lines, leaving no doubt about the explosive power hidden in his body. Mu Fan did not feel the cold that the neighbors around him said instead. He just felt a kind of coolness that made his brain extremely calm and clear. He enjoyed it very much. He didn't know why. He was always hungry, but he found that his endurance seemed to be several times that of the people around him. Or it seemed to be more. He had no idea, and he was not interested in asking. Taking advantage of the cover of darkness, Mu Fan, without attracting any attention, had already run to the edge of a jungle 15 kilometers away from the factory. In the quiet night, Mu Fan seemed to have merged with the land, and only the heat rising from his body indicated his presence. There is a river here. The water is freezing at night, but it is Mu Fan's favorite place to wash away the blood and sweat on his body. If he is lucky, he can catch a fat fish in the water well. It tastes good when eaten raw, as long as it is meat. Mu Fan's goal today is to hunt a large animal. He feels that his body is getting hungrier and hungrier. The 2 plant mice he had in the past are now far from enough to satisfy his physical needs. He needs to eat more meat. This jungle is far away from the city, on a remote, poor and backward planet like Lorgar. The administrators do not have the strength to deploy too many satellites for monitoring. The few cities made up of humans are fighting against nature. This jungle has maintained a good appearance. There are more powerful beasts here, which means more abundant food for him. With a whoosh, Mufan stopped, his bright eyes sparkling at this moment. He stood at the edge of the jungle and sniffed the scent of a beast not far away in the jungle. There was a mutant beast there, that's right. With this powerful breath, he'd already smelled the violent blood of the mutant beast. His stomach growled again, and Mufan pursed his lips, and at this moment, a red light surged in his eyes! He wants to eat me! Because desire is the driving force of human beings. When a madly growing body encounters hunger, it is enough to make a person burst out with tremendous power. Not to mention Mufan, who knows the taste of meat. He closed his eyes and then opened them again. The strange red glow in Mufan's eyes completely faded, but his eyes were extremely bright. The darkness around him seemed to have disappeared, and the jungle insects and flying birds were clearly visible. He didn't know when he discovered that he had the ability of sharp night vision. When he accidentally used this ability to find several plant mice at night, he began to deliberately train himself to master this God-given ability. In the night, thick clouds blocked the light reflected from the planets. A meteor streaked through the atmosphere, flashing a streak of light above the clouds, chapped 1,000 eggs from the starry sky, pulling out the dagger that was stuck in the mutant beast's neck. Mufan wiped the blood off the body of the more than 2-meter-long beast, not caring at all about the 5 claw marks on its back that was still oozing blood, and grinned. Fortunately, this was a lone mutant wandering on the edge of the jungle. Dangerous but not fatal. In his eyes, the blood and wounds on his body were far less important than the hundreds of kilograms of meat lying on the ground. It seemed like he had never eaten enough. Mufan narrowed his eyes in nostalgia. Forget it. Don't think about it. Filling your stomach is the most important thing. This little food can last for a few days if you save it. He lowered his head and prepared to take his own food out. No, there was a sound. A terrifying roar that broke the sound barrier came from the sky, and the prey on the ground suddenly showed its shadow. Mufan raised his head suddenly, and a long flaming rainbow came from the sky and cut through the night sky, like a sword of God piercing straight into the earth of Loga Star. Mufan just stared blankly at the shocking fireball hitting the depths of the jungle. Wait, deep in the jungle, Mufan suddenly opened his eyes wide. When he realized that he seemed to be in danger, the fireball fell to the ground. The shock wave formed by a violent concussion had already rushed towards him from the jungle 3 kilometers away with a devastating posture, and the trees fell down one after another. Before Mufan could close his open jaw, he was pushed to the ground with a bang. A huge cloud of smoke rose up and the fire was extinguished in the jungle. People in the city more than 40 kilometers away only heard a loud bang, thinking it was just a meteorite falling as usual, and continued with their intoxicated nightlife. Crack my teeth, can I still eat meat? A crisp sound of teeth knocking against each other came from under the broken soil, and Mufan shook his face left and right. When the two shadows of the trees standing diagonally in front of him merged into one, Mufan's mind finally came to his senses. With his head resting on the ground, he looked at the sky which had returned to silence and darkness, and then he howled loudly, "My flesh!" With a leap, Mufan's explosive body bounced up from the ground. This time, he ignored the new wounds and the dirt on his body, looked around, and luckily, his flesh was not washed away, so he sat down again with peace of mind. What could it be? A meteorite from outside the planet, or floating space junk? Mufan's bright eyes flashed with thought. He decided to go take a look first and then come back and take it away. He ignored the darkness, and the violent collision just now had already scared away the nearby ferocious beasts. The further he walked, the more trees fell. Mufan moved nimbly towards the collision site. He could already smell the burning smell of trees ahead. He jumped over a huge tree that was as thick as a man's embrace and saw the huge deep pit that radiated like a spider web. In the center lay a black egg that occasionally sparkled. A black egg. Yes, it was a black egg. Mufan was very satisfied with his thoughts. His limited knowledge made it difficult for him to find a more appropriate adjective. Carefully sliding down the edge of the deep pit, Mufan looked at the black egg lying quietly at the bottom with curiosity, and walked towards it step by step. The occasional sparks on the black egg could not illuminate the color of the main body, and a dark egg-shaped object about 1 meter long lay in front of him. There are circuit sparks. It should be a metal product. Mufan picked up a broken branch beside him and knocked it. Dong. There is space inside. He touched the leaves on the folded branch with his hand. Warm. Well, the surface temperature of the object has dropped. Mufan stretched out his hands wearing shredded leather gloves and pressed them on the surface of the black egg. Feeling the heat coming from his palms, which was slightly hot, he pushed it gently with his hands, and the black egg moved a little from the huge pit. About 200 kilograms. Mufan stood up and looked around, using the surrounding soil to cover the occasional sparks on the black egg. Then he clenched his fist and shouted, lifting the black egg directly from the ground, then carrying it on his right shoulder, jumping a few steps quickly, leaping from the pit to the edge with a strength that was inconsistent with his body size, and then running straight towards his food. Under the night sky, on the outskirts of the No. 22 city of Loja Star, no one noticed that there would be a slender figure running deep into the wilderness, carrying a large black egg in one hand and dragging a dead mutant beast in the other. Mufan grinned with his eyes sparkling. He went home, ate meat, and then saw what good things he had picked up. Was this a gift from the stars? The thick dark clouds at night, the thick space debris covering the planet, the wilderness far away from the city, the uninhabited edge of the jungle. Everything perfectly concealed a small incident that took place on this distant planet. At the edge of the galaxy's light year away from the star Loga, messy debris is wandering aimlessly in the quiet and mysterious space. Deep in the asteroid belt, a huge black crack suddenly tears open the space, and 3 silver-white heavy warships appear. There are no markings painted on the streamlined and smooth hulls, but the heavy particle cannons mounted on the hulls are as big as dragons, and the densely packed gun barrels of various shapes extending out of the hulls declare the terrible combat effectiveness of these 3 warships. Master, the fleet has jumped out of the territory. We have lost it. I am not doing my job well. Please punish me. The captain in dark blue uniform was half kneeling. In front of him stood a tall middle-aged man also in blue uniform. Behind the lenses on his nose were a pair of cold and majestic eyes. The old man looked expressionlessly at the captain half kneeling in front of him and paused for a few seconds. Our Xuanhuan family has been silent for 100 years under the banner of the Empire. Under the open and secret struggles between the Empire and the Federation, many former nobles have now disappeared. Keep a low profile, huh? Those nobles of the Imperial Star have completely fallen. The opportunity has now fallen on you and me. If we don't seize it, there will be no chance again. Xuanhuan, which galaxy is our fleet in now? Patriarch, we have now jumped to the territory of the Galaxy Federation and are currently in a small meteorite belt. We have not yet been detected by the Federation forces. Please make the decision, Patriarch. An officer on the right side of the middle-aged man quickly operated on the holographic projection screen, and a small 3-dimensional galaxy map appeared in front of everyone. Xuanyi, get up. It shouldn't be the lackeys of the Empire, Hawkeye. They won't enter the Federation starfield, you can rest assured. Avoid exposing the fleet and go back to speed up the preparations, the middle-aged man called the master of the house said after a slight pause. Return. Yes, master. The captain stood up and returned to the command desk to issue orders. Starting the jump engine at 105% power, turning on the Xuanhuan Iron Curtain mode, loading the coordinates of the No-1 space node and performing coordinate vector correction. Everyone return home! The dark crack that had just disappeared suddenly reappeared, stretching horizontally like a huge vertical pupil. The white flowing on the battleship strangely turned into ink black, and then sank into the crack little by little. The vertical pupils, and this meteorite belt was as quiet as ever. If there were people from the Federal Scientific Laboratory, they would be extremely shocked. The small static space transmission channel technology is just a new field of the Federation. However, no one knows all this. Chapter Zozan 3 Black. Mu Fan let out a breath and returned to his base. Back in this garbage pile of industrial waste alloys, his heart was at peace. With a bang, the black egg was thrown onto the waste pile on the side. Then Mu Fan stared at the ferocious beast lying on the ground. He swallowed his saliva and no longer cared about the black egg. The bonfire was crackling, and a simple rack had been set up on the fire. Large pieces of meat were skewered on iron rods, and golden oil dripped onto the charcoal. The rising green smoke brought waves of lingering fragrance. Mu Fan used a dagger to scratch the meat from time to time and sprinkled salt on it. A meal of meat that was more delicious and rich than plant rats. Enough meat to eat for 2 days in one hunt, and a jungle where this meat could be found again. Today's harvest was great, and Mu Fan's eyes narrowed happily again. Mu Fan suddenly stood up and turned around. His body was half bent, his right hand holding a dagger in front of him, his left fist clenched against his waist. There was silence all around, as if nothing had happened just now. There was another creaking sound and Mu Fan quickly turned to the right, where he had just dropped the black egg. Yes, it seemed that this black egg had caused the trouble. Creak, creak, the black egg cracked open under the light of the jumping fire. As if something was really about to break out of the egg. Mu Fan was facing a formidable enemy. He held the dagger tightly in his right hand and began to adjust his posture carefully, staring at the strange black egg in front of him. A burst of mechanical electronic sound suddenly came from the inside of the black egg instantly. The body is self-checking time detection, data disorder abnormality, time unknown, database integrity detection, loss of 91%, detection of the main brain artificial intelligence integrity 87%, start alpha intelligence module, start the emotion simulation function, beep the emotion simulation module is damaged, activate the second plan skip, background. Connect to the onboard database. Beep, Alpha Superbrain is successfully started detecting the surrounding environment. Then Haydn fell silent. Mu Fan cautiously took a small step. With a hissing sound, a small opening suddenly appeared on Haydn's waist, and an antenna sprout from and the top of the antenna was a white sphere with a faint blue light flashing inside. Mu Fan did not move. The white ball created a light blue vertical fan-shaped light curtain. After rotate, it stopped when it saw Mu Fan's alert face. Completed 2 active organisms found. Identification human, identification fly insect. Scan completed, no other active organisms found. According to the intelligent brain guidelines, the first goal of converting the current carrier is survival. The light blue curtain suddenly turned from blue to red, and the curtain stretched to scan the whole body again. Mu Fan narrowed his eyes and did not move. Detecting the Galaxy ADO network connection detection failed. Beep, turn on the host system. Start the host recognition program. The target creature is human, in line with the criteria. Detected that the target creature's pupils are slightly dilated. The pulse is stable, the body proportions are thin and the muscle density is strong. There are guarded movements and the explosive power is unknown. The system determines that it is not a civilian and meets the host selection program criteria. It is determined that it meets the host recognition program. The light curtain gradually narrowed from long to narrow until it merged into a line and retracted. The electronic sound was heard again, and the system recognized the master. Asking the target human to place his palm on the spherical detector, Mu Fan was stunned for a moment and did not move. The electronic sound continued to be heard. The system recognized the master, and asked the target human to place his palm on the spherical detector. The system recognizes the master. Please place the palm of the target human on the spherical detector. If the target still does not complete the master recognition procedure within 30 seconds, the carrier will activate the self-destruct system. Countdown 30, 29, 28. What? Mu Fan was shocked. This didn't give him a chance to think. Who knows how powerful this thing's self-destruction is? He didn't have time to think about it. When the system counted down to 20 seconds, Mu Fan pressed his hand on it and held the spherical object that was flashing a faint blue light. Hiss! Mu Fan suddenly felt countless steel spikes extending from the sphere and piercing into his palm, and then he pulled his hand back the moment he wanted to pull it back. The blue light of the sphere changes from blue to red and then to blue. The host DNA information has been confirmed. The system has been successfully bound and the system is being activated. Please name the vector. Mu Fan had already retracted his palm. He was extremely speechless when he saw at least 20 bleeding spots on his palm. Was it necessary to poke so many needles? The electronic voice asking the host to name the carrier came again. As if it brought some emotion, Mu Fan said angrily. If you can only look at it but not eat it, it should still be called a black egg. Detecting the host's tone, there is a bad tendency. The system assumes that the name has a derogatory meaning. Please name it again. The electronic sound seems to be really emotional this time. Mu Fan stared blankly at the black thing in front of him. Can this black egg understand what I mean? It's unscientific. Isn't it always emotionless when speaking? You can't bully me for not having enough education. Please name it again. Hiden Mu Fan forced a smile this time and spoke softly. Beep, the name is detected to be the same as the first name. The host is considered to have a mischievous intention. The system will not recognize the name. Please name it again. Damn it! Mu Fan was really aggressive this time. He had already decided that this black guy was bullying him because he didn't have enough education. Egg, sorry! The system did not approve it. Please name it again. Black. The name has been confirmed thanks to the host for naming it. System code black. Mu Fan was holding a large piece of meat in his hand. Facing Haiden no. It was Haiden now with an expressionless face. The smell of meat that had just excited him for 5 minutes no longer aroused his interest. He was already certain that this system was definitely intelligent. Just now he was able to guarantee and affirm that the system was playing tricks on him. And he felt very unhappy. After recognizing its master, Hai didn't make any noise and even put away the white sphere, as if he knew that something was wrong with Mu Fan at the moment. Suddenly, Mu Fan stopped eating meat because he saw the detector of the black egg coming out, but the moment his mouth stopped eating, damn it. The broken detector seemed to have noticed it and stopped too! Black egg! Talk to me. Don't act like a dead bot. Don't act like an ordinary computer when you talk to me. I know you can definitely understand what I say. Are you teasing me on purpose? If you don't talk, I will tear your broken shell apart. Mu Fan exploded without any warning. Feeling a little angry and embarrassed, the system's current carrier shell is made of ohm-laden alloy which is 13 times harder than the industrial steel in the host's hand. The system determines that the host cannot cause harm to Hai. Please refer to the host. The electronic voice spoke without hesitation this time, and the speed of speech was incredibly fast. Mu Fan suddenly felt that his stomach was full, and then he said fiercely, word by word, as if cold wind was squeezed out from between his teeth. Please answer the host. Detector shook, then trembled and rose up. Sorry host. The system detected a prank command in the execution code, and it cannot be changed. A hidden Easter egg should be set for the system developers. Black obeys all your orders, and all of Black's interests are based on the host. Please introduce yourself. Hai Mu Fan finally felt relieved. Chapter 4 The Seeds of Dreams. After Hai was silent for nearly a minute, a soft electronic voice sounded. Okay, may I ask what is the host's current level of knowledge? According to the Universal Interstellar Standard, how many years is it? So that the introduction terminology can be adjusted according to the level of knowledge. Mu Fan answered without hesitation. It was rare to hear this robot speak with conscience. I'm sorry host, I can't introduce Hai to you. Please ask questions after you have mastered some knowledge of space physics. Mu Fan's eyes turned into dead fish eyes and cold words squeezed out from the gap between his lips. Hai, egg, host, please put down that 317 4 kg steel rock. Hai will fully answer your related questions. With a bang, Mu Fan threw down the huge rock, looked at Hai expressionlessly. Based on the incomplete records of the machine's detector, it can be determined that Hai is no longer in this space-time plane, and the space-time deviation data is incomplete and cannot be retrieved. The host needs to be connected to the local galaxy network before the initial correction can be carried out. Host, please be sure to believe that when it comes to data issues, Hai, as a controllable intelligent computer, cannot engage in fraudulent behavior such as falsifying data against the first-level authority. Hai spoke up immediately after seeing Mu Fan's expression that said, "You're kidding me." According to the calculation and speculation based on the damaged data before the space-time jump, there is an 89.1% probability that Hai came from a parallel universe. The time database is missing and cannot be confirmed. He belongs to the third place in the first sequence of the Galaxy Council, the Yoko Super Empire, and is a product of the Empire's SS-level core laboratory. The cold electronic sound continued to be emitted. Black Click Body Development Cycle 1448 Atomic Days Scale Planetary Super Intelligent Cluster Core Performance Level, the highest level known. The standard is 17 times the strongest previous intelligent brain, according to the incomplete database. On the day when the planetary superintelligent cluster project was completed, an energy reaction of unknown cause occurred 0.7 light-years away from the core laboratory. Energy level, drop, cannot be calculated. Datamage. Black's planetary scale body damaged, 1/trillionth of the probability of generating a time and space corridor. Black core activated the self-protection program and popped out. The current landing location unknown. Alpha Superbrain is currently the second authority of Black, and the first authority is the host. The story is over. Mu Fan took a breath and felt his mind was a little dizzy. For the first time, he felt that such a huge creature had intruded into his cognitive world. Hey, what functions do you have now? To answer the host, Hai has been taken over by the autonomous intelligent Alpha Superbrain. The database has lost 91% and the planetary superintelligent cluster has lost 100%. The Alpha Superbrain is the most advanced core intelligent brain of the Yucko Empire and can handle it. Can you use it as a light brain? Mu Fan interrupted Hai's answer directly. The Alpha Brain is essentially an artificial intelligence with growth potential and autonomous consciousness. It is not an intelligent object in the traditional sense. After the host provides the necessary components, it can 100% utilize the optical brain functions. That's good. What components do you need me to provide? Mu Fan stared at the black egg in front of him. He didn't know what kind of shock an artificial intelligence with autonomous consciousness would represent to the world. He just felt an inexplicable impulse rising in his chest. He could express it, but if he could express it in words, it was the common people's longing for the vast galaxy. And it was the dream that the eagle pierced through the clouds to chase, 9 light-years away from Lorgar, on the 4th administrative planet of the Galaxy Federation, Landu. The first virtual mecha training room, rows of blue and white virtual cabins flashing with dim light were neatly arranged in the hall. Several young men in grey college uniforms stood on the viewing platform in the corner of the training room, staring at the 3-dimensional light screen in front of them, where a snow-white mecha was constantly performing tactical evasive actions under layers of firepower. Captain Renault, Senior Lu Qingqiu is not doing well. Although she just broke through to become a Platinum 2-star player on PO Battle.net a few days ago, it is still too difficult for her to rashly participate in a professional survival competition. A shorter man with a flat head nearby couldn't help but sweat when he saw the various dangerous situations of the white mecha in the light curtain. Let's see, Qingqiu should be able to do it. The instructor had estimated before that Qingqiu's level was more than Platinum 2 stars. She should have been honing other skills recently. Renault still stared at the light screen in front of him. The grey college uniform made his slender figure more upright. As the captain of the mecha team of Dingchuan College, his Platinum 4-star strength was already the strongest known in the college. PO Battle.net, a Battle.net platform focusing on mecha holographic combat. Belong Federation Super Large Intergalactic Company PO Intergalactic Group. It can simulate reality to a 95% degree, realize character data simulation and conduct brain coordination through the connection of neurons throughout the body. PO Battle Network has 2 combat modes. One is Fantasy Combat, which is mainly for entertainment. The official provides a series of mechas that do not exist in reality. The player's simulation level is low. The data is enhanced to a certain extent. The operation difficulty is reduced, and the player can perform various imaginary actions. This type of combat mode is mostly for beginners or purely entertaining players to experience the thrill of driving mechas. In reality, the lowest-priced mechas cost tens of millions of star coins, which is simply unaffordable for ordinary people. The emergence of PO Battle Network has filled the dreams of countless people. The other is Real Combat, which is a paradise for colleges, the military and mecha enthusiasts. In this mode, various published models of mechas in reality are strictly simulated, including standard mechas of the military, as well as mecha model data obtained by some PO companies through other channels. PO companies also provide all engines, armor, weapons and other accessories currently available on the market, and provide modification services. Players can combine their ideal mechas in Battle.net, but due to the limitation of 9% simulation degree, some problems in daily maintenance or assembly and running in that occur in Real Combat do not exist in Battle.net. All digitized mechas allow players to fight with all their strength without worrying about other things. However, on the other hand, it is wrong to think that if you can play well in PO Battle.net, you can handle Real Combat. Various emergencies of mechas are not something that theoretical players can handle at all. In Battle.net, players from novice to proficient will be evaluated by the system through a series of complex algorithms based on a large amount of data such as the number of kills, combat merits, skill scores, and finally a level evaluation is formed from low to high. Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Grandmaster and King. Before the Grandmaster level, each title is divided into small levels from 1 star to 5 stars from low to high. In PO Battle.net, where beginners account for 85% to the players, it is very difficult to break through the level. Platinum 2 stars are definitely in the sequence of Masters. In real fighting, there are relatively mild restricted competitions that remove powerful weapons and formulate corresponding rules. There are lightly restricted competitions with a certain degree of viewing and indiscriminate fighting. The most tragic of them is the survival battle that Renault and his team have seen so far. The survivors are the winners. No rules are The simulation degree is 95% 1%, and that 1% is the pain locked to 100%. Oh no, someone is attacking from behind! Qingqiu is in danger! Chapter Arrows and Fire Lu Qingqiu. Lu Qingqiu was already in a bad situation. The 3 mechas in front of her were obviously fighting in a group. Once the metal torrent of the close-range Vulcan cannon swept the body, it would consume the shield energy of the body crazily. The three mechas vaguely surrounded the white body in three directions. The three-way fire suppression made Lu Qingxiu's mecha dodge more and more hurried. Behind her was a tropical jungle area. The towering trees tens of meters high could effectively weaken the radar scanning effect. When Lu Qingxiu was retreating towards the jungle, who would have thought that at this moment, a yellow and green mecha appeared from behind? And the high-vibration particle knife in its hand was already faintly red. The color-changing device and the cloaking device were obviously a reconnaissance mecha, and it had been hidden in the forest for a long time. If it penetrated effect, with the powerful lethality the high-vibration particle knife, Lu Qingxiu's mecha shield would be broken in one blow. The survival map is an encounter on Devil's Island, which is set as a volcanic island. Medium-sized escort satellites carry out indiscriminate attacks on ground mechas at high altitudes from time to time. The system is set to count one round every 10 minutes. During this period, the survivors will get 3 points, and 1 point will be awarded for each other mecha destroyed. After 10 minutes, the system will compress the island combat area, and those who have not entered the effective area will be forcibly expelled. At this moment, no matter whether the 4 mechas are in one group or 2 groups, Lu Qingxiu has entered the most dangerous moment. Oh no, Senior Sister Lu didn't seem to notice the back, the flat-headed man who spoke earlier exclaimed. Renault looked at the 3-dimensional light screen, his thin lips still pursed, but the corners of his mouth were raised. Long are you, idiot? A handsome boy with glasses behind him said coldly, and before the flat-headed man could get angry. Senior Sister Lu's mecha is a modified military-grade Mulan-type mecha, which is biased towards long-range attack and land combat model. It is equipped with a 5th generation and a half engine caliber Valpo Gauss sniper rifle, a 35 caliber close combat defender, and 32 rounds of wheel axle rockets. According to the general interstellar standard, it is A-level long-range, D-level defense, and C-level mobility. Have you found Senior Sister Lu's sniper rifle after looking for so long, idiot? You, Feng, the young man with the flat head blushed. Look for yourself. The Senior Sister's Mulan Kai. The orange flame mouth has yellow silk flame, indicating that it has been replaced with the 6th generation engine. The Senior Sister is the president of the school's kendo club. The reason why she chose Mulan Kai and painted it white is just for aesthetics, not for Mulan's range firepower. Look at the high-frequency sword on her back. Idiot, the handsome young man with glasses called Feng Yu continued to mock longer expressionlessly. Is this leaping wave flash? Before Ruji could even react, he suddenly screamed and his face twisted. The white Mulan guy, whose footsteps were staggered in the picture, had an alloy scabbard painted white on his back. The hilt of the sword that was hard to see but still close to the body was pulled out from behind by Mulan guy in an instant. Then, after the mecha bent its legs to accumulate power, the jet under its feet instantly overloaded with energy. The mecha leaned back 75 degrees, and the tip of the sword touched the ground. In a flash, it changed from retreating to a backward arc parabola at a speed more than 3 times that of the previous one, making the firepower of the 3 mechas in front miss the yellow-green mecha behind, which was holding the particle knife with both hands. Stopped abruptly. With a bang, the mecha engine exploded, killing with one blow. The white Mulan guy turned his back to the yellow-green mecha, slowly pulled out the high-frequency sword that had just been inserted into the energy compartment under his arm, and then turned around slowly. Isn't this a leaping wave flash? Isn't this a military A-level tactical evasive move? How can it be performed with a mecha? And can it be coordinated with a sword? And can it hurt the enemy? Ryuji's mouth was so wide that he could fit a fist in it. Not simple. Qingxiu is worthy of being the Valkyrie of the Kendo Club of Dingchuan College! There is no need to look at it anymore. The military's level action standards are so high. She must have unlocked the first level mental lock. Renault's voice sounded with a hint of surprise in his eyes. The Galaxy Federation stipulates that for those who have not been selected through the Military Academy channel and are under 40 years old, if they can continuously perform 3A level or above fighting skills on the military's public assessment day on September 17th each year, they can be selected as officers of the Galaxy Federation. The examinees can be selected regardless of their background as long as they pass the political review. Even if they're the lowest lieutenant, it means a step to glory for other people who are struggling on the survival line. The military stipulates 379A level action stands after nearly 100 years of improvement. Each one is as difficult as ascending to heaven. If you can master 3 of them, you can be called a local hero. Sure enough. When the 3 Platinum 1 star players in the picture saw this moment, they suddenly stopped their pace in rushing towards Mulan Gai, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. The Senior Sister's 6th generation engine has just entered compensatory overload and is about to explode. Feng Yu's eyes behind the lenses are shining. One mech was ready to flee, while the other 2 opened their Vulcan cannons. The Mulan Modified had oriented the 150% overload mode of the 6th generation engine. Its performance had jumped directly from C to 2C, facing 3 mechs with C performance. It had already suppressed them in terms of speed. Moreover, the Mulan Modified piloted by Lu Qingxiu was a close combat master in the guise of a sniper to jump, dodge, get close, and blow up the cabin with one sword, get close, fire wheeled rockets to disable, and blow up the cabin with one knife, leap slash. The kinetic energy added by the explosive speed, under the extremely sharp high-frequency blade, the last mech, which was holding an assault rifle horizontally, was cut in half by one blow. Then she stopped, put away her sword, and after making sure the surroundings were safe, the snow-white Milan guy leaned against a huge tree and waited for the energy furnace to cool down. Time is up. Today's survival battle is over. People have passed and 724 people have been eliminated. Please and enter the competition venue on time at 2000 tomorrow. 2. Awesome, Renault exclaimed at the same time. There was a sound of air pressure being released, followed by a drip. The top of virtual camp 3 popped open and a white figure stood up from it. She was wearing a white wide-sleeved swordsman's uniform which made her look very neat. Her hair was tied behind her shoulders with a black martial arts belt. Her eyebrows were slightly furrowed. Her eyes were clear and bright, her chin was sharp and angular, and her delicate neck had no decorations. She was like a cold snow lotus, quiet and independent. She was the president of the Kendo Club of Dingchuan College, Lu Qingxu. Senior Sister Lu and Senior Sister Qingxu. Lu Qingxu was obviously not good at speaking. Then she frowned, turned her head to look at Renault, and displeasure appeared in her eyes. Hey Sister Lu, your strength has broken through again. Renault smiled bitterly and touched his nose. Well, the first level of the spiritual lock has been unlocked. Lu Qingxu nodded slightly. I have gained a lot of insights this time. Next, I will go to comprehend the sword art. To unlock the first level of mental lock. Before, only Captain Renault in the whole school could do it, and now Senior Sister Lu can too. The young man next to him clearly showed envy and admiration in his eyes. The mental level corresponds to the degree of brain development. The higher the level, the clearer the thinking, the greater the computing power, the stronger the pressure resistance, and the better the optical brain coordination. From level 1 to level 9, it may be the end of many people's lives. Level 10 is the first mental lock, which is a qualitative change. People who have not made a breakthrough cannot imagine it, but people who have made a breakthrough will definitely not be mediocre. What about tomorrow's battle? Not participating anymore. Senior Long was obviously anxious. The rewards for the survival battle were very high, not only honor, but also limited edition mecha parts. Long I invited Sister Lu to come here. I want to see if her real martial arts skills can significantly improve her in mecha combat. The Mulan modified we just saw has given us the answer. Sister Lu has broken through the first level of mental lock, and if she is not interested in this, don't force it. What we need to do is work hard to cope with the exchange war next year. I am about to graduate, and I may choose to go to the capital star for further studies or join the army. Before, I will do my best. The future of the mecha department of the college depends on you. Senior! Longair and his group couldn't help but speak out. The training volume will double in the next 6 months. Physical training will continue to increase by 2 levels, and I will ask your senior sister Lu to practice with you from time to time. Renault suddenly showed a fierce smile to the team members. If there is nothing else, I will leave first. Lu Qing still had a cold expression on her face. She said goodbye to everyone and left without waiting for anyone to try to stop her. The senior obviously likes senior sister Lu, but senior sister Lu treats everyone like an ice cube. Someone behind him whispered. Renault seemed not to hear anything. Without saying a word, Chapter 065 Major Colleges. The Galactic Federation spans 62 light years, with 4 major administrative regions and a total population of hundreds of billions. On the Federal, there are 5 A-level colleges. The capital star of the 1st Administrative District, the Federal Dawn Military Academy. The capital star of the 1st Administrative District, Bonner Union College. The 2nd Administrative District is Xuanhuan Plan Military Academy. The 3rd Administrative District, Linguangsing Taoyuan College. The 4th Administrative District, Landuzing Dingchuan College. 5 top colleges! This is the cradle of talent in the Federation, the golden starting point for rapid advancement, and the highest institution of learning in the vast territory of the Federation. Every year during the enrollment season, tens of millions of eligible people from the entire galaxy apply for admission. The 5 major colleges jointly stipulate that all applicants must not be older than 20 years old. How many talents are blocked by this alone? When the colleges are on vacation, they rush to various planets to discover outstanding reserve talents. The federal regulations stipulate that A-level colleges have the priority to choose. Every year before enrollment, they will attract countless curses from other colleges. The top students are always picked first, which makes other colleges and universities live. Anyway, these 5 major colleges have nothing to worry about because there are plenty of people applying for the exams. Glory, privilege, getting admitted into the 5A level colleges is the dream of countless young people. We'll set up examination centers on several major planets, so every examination season, tens of thousands of young people will gather on these planets. June 10th of the federal calendar. Exam day! Landestar Ep. I glanced at the antique mechanical watch on my wrist. It was May 10th, federal calendar 57. A bald middle-aged uncle in a blue uniform raised his head and curled his lips. The shitty senior management asked me to go to that shitty place every year. The people recruited there are at the bottom of the academy. This is the last year of the 3-year selection. It would be strange if I could be selected as an eagle from a bunch of weak chickens by assigning me there. They are deliberately trying to mess with me, damn it, let me find out. The sturdy wrist joints held the cuffs of the blue uniform tightly, and 4 small embroidered characters were closely aligned side by side. Dingchuan College. He punched the air hard, and the gust of wind created was enough to flatten the skirt of the lady in front of him. Fortunately, she hadn't boarded the interstellar travel ship yet, otherwise she would have been sent off. The combat instructor of Ding College in Landustar, the retired commander of the 114th Ace Infantry Regiment of the Federation, 37 years old, a martial arts master with a level 25 physique and a level 2 mental lock physique. Level 6's has an instantaneous burst of punching power and physical endurance of 75 kg, followed by 50 kg, 400 kg, 600 kg, and a 50 kg corresponding to levels 7 to 11. The standard will increase by 50 kg for each subsequent level, and level 25 is a bottom line of 960 kg, which is an existence that everyone in the entire Federation can look up to, since strength does not necessarily correspond to endurance. A person with a strength level of 15 may only have an endurance level of 10, so the physical fitness standard is only level 10. But a level 25 physique means that both the instantaneous explosive power and the physical endurance have reached 9600 G. This means that when his physical strength is fully unleashed, a punch is equivalent to a collision force of more than 9 tons. It also means that he can withstand this collision force of more than 9 tons. The crowd waiting in line for testing simply cast respectful glances at the blue uniform. They had no idea that there was a prehistoric beast in human skin waiting in line for ticket inspection. He had been teaching well and had never offended anyone since he came to this school. But today he received an order from the top management of the school to go to Ziku Star, 2 light years away from Landu Star, to be responsible for enrollment. The other staff of the school had already left, and he was the general manager of Ziku Star, so he could arrange his own travel method. The ghosts made their own arrangements. If I tell you today, you can leave today! What the hell? This man who had experienced countless blood and fire raised his hands to accept the inspection while cursing. When the people around him saw that it was the teacher uniform of Dingchun College, they turned their heads back. After passing security and entering the waiting area, I will enter the cryogenic hibernation chamber in 20 minutes. Ron Feng threw the package he was carrying back with his strong arms and sat back. He stroked his shiny bald head with his broad palms and grinned. People around him walked around him. Before he came, he learned about the purple and green star, which was right on the edge of the 4th administrative district, and that all the candidates nearby should gather here. What kind of talent can there be, shit college executives? That kind of poor place has long been proven by history that it can't produce real talent. Every year, when the scores of each department are counted, half of the bottom hundreds are from the marginal zone. Among them is that purple and green star. It's so damn unlucky. Anyway, I don't understand anything else. The academy will make its own arrangement. I will only be in charge of the infantry major. I will just be used as cannon fodder here. By the way, that special recruitment of the Army Reserve is definitely interesting. 10 places are given, and 7 or 8 nearby planets give 10 places. It's interesting. I like this kind of interesting things. A-level colleges cooperate with the Federal Army. In addition to the military assessment day on September 17th every year, there are also some special places. These places are taken care of by the A-level colleges in each administrative region when recruiting students. In addition to meeting the age requirement of not more than 20 years old, the physical fitness standard must be higher than level 15, and then the final 100 will be screened out in the audition. Each A-level college has only 100 places, which will be used as quasi-elite talents prepared for training by the military. During this period, 90 people will be limited. These people can take the internal examination to transfer to another department or leave school. In the end, only 10 people will be left when they graduate. 4 major administrative regions, the entire Federation, 50 people. This is 1,000 times more difficult than taking the direct exam, even 10,000 times more difficult, but if you can survive 4 years without being eliminated, you will eventually be rewarded with honors. Graduates will be awarded the rank of major. Special operations officers of various code names, choose 1 out of 10 million. Some geniuses firmly believe that they are different from ordinary people, and some people with outstanding achievements want to prove their extraordinariness and want to get this position again. But they often end up with bad results. This exam does not require academic performance or vast amounts of knowledge. You just need to prove one thing, that you are better than others and that you can stand to the end. That's all. I was counting on this to help me select some talent, but the college is divided into 10 areas, and I guess my area will still be at the bottom. Damn it, just thinking about it makes me angry! The flesh on his face twitched a few times, and Rowan Shengfeng found that he was angry no matter how he thought about it. He went straight into the spaceship, found the hibernation cabin and lay down in it. Out of sight, out of mind, the spacecraft started slowly and began to sail towards the space jump point. A pleasant female voice played in a loop inside the spacecraft. Good afternoon, passengers. The interstellar journey is about to begin. Please enter the hibernation capsule on time within 5 minutes. The destination of this voyage is Verdura Star. The entire journey is 2 light years and will take 7 federal days. I wish you all a pleasant journey. This unknown scape, carrying the dreams of young people from several planets to pursue higher education, slowly started to accelerate until it disappeared into the vast starry sky. In 1 month, the Galaxy Federation College entrance examination will be here. Chapter 1000. And when dreams become reality. If apples were like the most delicious poison to Adam and Eve, then optical computers and mechas were Mu Fan's haunting dreamland. When he was sleeping late at night, he imagined himself driving a steel monster that belonged to men, and fantasizing about owning an optical computer that could communicate with other people. But when he woke up, looking at the tattered blanket on his body and touching his flat belly, he was pulled back to reality. But today Mu Fan, who never sleeps late, was sleeping soundly in the corner with a ragged blanket covering his body. He didn't wake up until the dazzling starlight shone on his face. Suddenly, Mu Fan looked to the right and saw the black egg lying there quietly. It's not a dream. Mufan recalled that he had communicated a lot with Haydn last night. When he learned that his long-cherished wish had come true, he felt that his heart was about to jump out of his chest. So while Haydn was talking about the components he needed, he drooled and looked forward to the future. He fell asleep like this, and he didn't know when Haydn stopped talking. Black, Master Host, a familiar voice came from the black egg. From now on, call me Mu friend. From now on, you will be my friend. Okay, Mufan. Hai paused for a moment, as if accepting the new definition, and also as if savoring the concept of the word friend. Mufan scooped out some slightly cleaner rainwater from a shell in the sump next to him, then washed his face and said to Hai, which part do you need most now? I'll go find it first, Light Brain Black replied quickly. What? Optical. Mufan was overwhelmed. Even the lowest level optical computer required 50,000 star coins. Where could he get the money? Correction, I am a super brain artificial intelligence, codenamed Black, not an optical. I can need an optical brain to access the current interstellar network, so as to update and store the database and transform the current form of existence. Optical brain, optical brain. Okay, I'll go mate. Mufan gritted his teeth after hearing Hai's answer. Hai, please bear with it for a while. After you said that, without waiting for Hai's opinion, you moved a pile of miscellaneous waste and piled it on top. Hai will enter the dormant self-checking and correction program. Please wake him up after Mufan obtains the optical brain. An electronic sound came from the waste pile, but it lacked the emotional feeling. Hai has entered the self-checking. It was difficult to see any color in the sky, which was still gray. From time to time, small transport ships could be seen flying in the air, and hovercrafts whizzed past on the city roads across the suburbs. It is 30 kilometers from the factory to the urban area. The road from desolate to dilapidated to bustling to prosperous forms a sharp contrast. Mufan ran for more than an hour, and there was no disorder in his breathing when he entered the city. Mufan's goal this time was very clear. He first went to ask Old Man, the owner of Bad Grocery Store in District 22. He used to go to the store to help out. Old Man Bad often gave Mufan some rice balls to eat and also gave him some compensation. This time, Mufan went there not to work, but to ask the old man if he had any advice. He needed money. City district no, big. But it is extremely lively. When Mufan walked, others automatically kept a distance of 1 meter from him. He was obviously a poor person from outside the city with his shabby clothes. People in the city who thought they were noble would be afraid of being laughed at if they got too close to him. Holy Food City. Mufan swallowed his saliva when he passed by the door. He continued walking in front, and came to Shu's equipment store, which was said to be one of the best outdoor equipment stores in District 22. Looking at the well-made daggers and combat uniforms hanging in the window, he showed envy and clenched his fists. Turn right at the next intersection. Pass a foot, and you will finally arrive at Old Bud's grocery store. When Old Man Bud saw Old Man Bud sitting behind the counter and smoking cheap tobacco leisurely, Mufan greeted him politely. Hey, this is our boy Mufan, come visit me now. You haven't been here for more than a month. Bud saw that it was Mufan, smacked his cigarette holder, and said happily, well, I was working outside the city before, so I didn't have time to go into the city. This time I came here to ask you for advice. Mufan nodded and replied, what's the matter? Come in and sit down first. Old Bud will tell you everything I know, but also likes this sensible and hardworking boy from the bottom of his heart. Uncle Bud, I want to know how to make money the fastest. Mufan looked at the old man in front of him with clear eyes. Make money? How much money do you need? Why did you suddenly ask this? Old Man Bud was very surprised. He knew Mufan's situation, basically. The money he earned from working was just enough to fill his stomach. Then, this kid would buy some books from time to time and his life was even tighter. But even so, he never saw Mufan ask about ways to make money quickly. Are you in trouble? How much money do you need? Old Bud, have some savings. Bud really likes this kid and wants to help him as much as he can. Thank you, Uncle Bud. This time is a little different. I need a computer, so I have to go out and make money. I can't take your money. I came here to ask you for advice. Mufan politely rejected Bud's kindness. Bud blew a smoke ring. Mufan, you have worked for me many times before. There is a way to make more money. I know you are very strong, but I still hope you can consider it. What method? Martial arts? Hall sparring! Bud looked at Mufan seriously, and to put it bluntly, it means being a punching bag. The longer you can hold on, the higher your income will be. However, I must remind you that you must pay attention to your own safety. It is inevitable that someone in there will hit hard, and I don't want you to get into trouble. Thank you, Uncle Bud. Mufan's eyes lit up and he bowed deeply to the old man. Don't thank me. Come find me if you can't hold on. Bud waved his hand. Well, he'll go then. After saying that, Mufan raised his head, turned around and walked away. Hey, you little bastard, you're going in the wrong direction. The wrong direction! Mufan turned 180 degrees, scratched his head and chuckled. In the northwest corner of District 22, there is a huge 5-story building with a unique wooden plaque hanging at the door, Starfall Martial Arts Hall. In the interstellar era, humans need to drive and control various machines, especially the emergence of mechas, which further improves the requirements for human physical fitness. As a comprehensive training facility combining martial arts and fighting skill, martial arts halls have become popular again with the development of science. The parking spaces at the entrance were filled with hover cars, ranging from civilian cars worth more than 100,000 hind cars worth millions. 4 sturdy men in black Taoist uniforms standing at the entrance added a bit of momentum to the building. Hey kid, what you doing? If you have nothing to do, get out of here, a big man said viciously when he saw Mufan walking towards him. Judging from the smell of motor oil all over his body, he could be a normal customer. Xinglo Martial Arts Hall. Do you need a sparring partner? Mu Fan stared at the sturdy man in front of him without fear. You, a sandbag, I need. He said that to me and then turned and walked towards the hall. Mu Fan followed the strong man and stepped into the consumption area of Av the Rich for the first time. When he entered the door, he saw vigorous and powerful large characters and paintings on both sides of the magnificent hall. Looking forward, there was an extremely wide training ground behind the steel-based glass. There were strength testing machines more than 2 people tall, and rows of equipment for physical training. It was still morning, and there were not many people in the venue. Don't look at it. This is an ordinary training ground. The martial arts instructor is not here. Your sandbags are on the 2nd and 3rd floors. The black-clad sturdy man looked at the boy who was silent at the moment and said with a smile. The country bumpkins who have never been to a martial arts school will be shocked at first sight. Does this silly boy think that sandbags are so easy to make? Recently, a young master who is said to have come from the central area of Luogia Star came. He was particularly fierce and had already crippled 3 sandbags. Thanks! The person I will take you to see later is the middle-level manager of our martial arts school. Let me remind you first that it is common for sandbags to be crippled. If you sign the contract, you can't leave. The strong man in black looked at this polite boy in surprise and put away his teasing tone. The suspended ladder made a ding sound and pointed to the 4th floor. Here we are. My name is Mankan. I wish you good luck. Chapter Lazane. Does the martial arts school provide meals? Are you here to apply for the job of sparring partner? In the large mahogany-style room, a short man sat in a large leather chair. He was about 40 years old, with a thin face and a shaved green stubble. The loose martial arts uniform made his figure look particularly thin. With the smooth eyes and slightly sharp voice, it was hard to associate him with a martial arts hall. He looked more like a shrewd businessman. Yes, Mu Fan lowered his eyelids and leaned forward slightly. I am Xuanhuan, a middle-level manager of Xinglo Martial Arts Hall. The 2nd and 3rd floors are exclusive venues for VIP customers of our martial arts hall. Your task is serve as a practice object for the guests. In other words, a sandbag, because you cannot fight back. Salary is paid daily, 500 star coins per day, and the tips given by the guests belong to you personally. The martial arts hall provides meals and daily treatment. If you accidentally become disabled, you will be compensated with a one-time compensation of 30,000 star coins, and there is no other responsibility. Hail if you accept it. Just so. After saying that, he picked up a contract from the table and threw it over. Mu Fan looked at the contract in front of him, which was simply 2 pieces of paper. After taking a quick glance to confirm that it was correct, he signed his crook name. Tear up your copy of the contract, Manko, and take this kid to the 1st floor to take a shower. Change clothes and then tell him the details. We will start working officially in the afternoon. Yes, boss. When the mahogany door. Xuanhuan touched his chin and chuckled. Another silly boy. Is it so easy to make money? The martial arts hall has run out of sandbags these days. We took the elevator along the same route and arrived at the lobby on the 1st floor. We turned right at the exit and Mankun pointed to a row of rooms in front of us and said, "Those are bathrooms, kid. Just pick one and take a shower first. You smell too much of motor oil. I'll get you a set of training clothes to change into in a while. This is provided to you for free by the martial arts school." 10 minutes later, Mu Fan was already standing at the entrance of the hall in a grey training suit. Mankun's eyes lit up when he approached him. What a spirited boy! Mu Fan was of good height to begin with, and the clean training suit made him look even taller and taller. All the dirt on his face was gone, and he was full of the youthful vigor. His eyes were bright and firm, and he stood there like a cheetah ready to pounce. First go to training ground No. 5 and I will explain to you the basic steps of being a sparring partner, and then we will do some anti-strike training. This money is not as easy to earn as you think, and I don't want you to be disabled. Training ground No. 5, the dedicated training ground for the staff of Xinglo Martial Arts Hall, was already very busy, with a group of people wearing the same grey training suits practicing against each other. Haha. He's under 20, isn't he? He's here to earn disability compensation at such a young age. Ha ha ha. A 1.9-meter tall man with a scar on his forehead easily dealt with the attack in front of him with one arm holding a boxing target. And then he casually glanced and found Mu Fan brought by Mankun. Seeing that thin body, he could help but laugh loudly. Jello, shut up if you want to make money in the martial arts gym. Be honest, you know the consequences of ruining your boss business. Mankun's eyes swept over the big man and a chill was already revealed at the end of his words. Jelal is a troublemaker among the martial arts gym sparring partners. He is 33 years old this year and was born a mercenary. Later, because he ruined a business for his employer and offended someone he shouldn't have offended, he retired from the life of licking blood on the edge of a knife. Because he has a strong arm, he came to Xinglo Martial Arts Hall 2 years ago. Because of his outstanding 13th level physical fitness standard, which is much higher than the average 6th level ordinary people at this stage, and his rich fighting experience, Jelal has never been seriously injured and has gradually become famous in the sparring circle. Now everyone is warming up. Jelal, who has always been vicious and belligerent, will naturally not miss the opportunity to have fun when he sees Mu Fan humph kid. If you're scared, just get out of here. 4 people like you have been beaten to a pulp before, but you can't get out of here even if you want to. You must have signed the contract. Play 3 full games first, little rookie. Ha ha ha. Jello stared at Mufan again and turned around and laughed loudly. Mufan looked at Jello calmly and then looked away. Jello seemed to be irritated by such a disregarding attitude. With Mankun present, he couldn't get angry. So he yelled at the person in front of him, "You old woman. How can you be like a woman? Your face is like a puddle of water. Use more force! Use more force! You are like a mosquito! What a waste!" Walking to an empty space on one side, Mankun stopped, took out a handheld fist target from the wooden cabinet beside and threw it to Mufan behind him. "Boy, hold it well. Hold it steady with both hands. Practice with the fist target first. The guests in the martial arts hall have different strength. This is the only prop to protect you. If you don't hold it well and it slips out of your hands, you may be seriously injured. Let's try it." Mufan took the boxing target and put it on his right forearm and swung it, then bent his elbow and placed it in front of his chest. He did not support it with his left arm, but placed it at his side in case of any emergency. "Here kid, you are too arrogant. Let me teach you a lesson first." The instantaneous force in the 11th level physical fitness standard of Mankun and the 6th level physical fitness standard of the Federation is 75 kg and then 150 g 250 kg, 400 kg sec, correspond to levels 7 to 11. And the standard will increase by 50 kg for each level. Seeing that Mufan did not follow his instructions, he could not help but feel a little annoyed. He admired this kid very much, but it did not mean that he would not control him. If he could not hold his arm steady when faced with a heavy punch, his arm would be seriously injured. Mankun collected half of his strength, suddenly turned around and threw a quick punch, hoping to knock Mufan away and teach this kid a lesson. Bang! There was a dull sound as if hitting broken leather. The expected heavy punch did not knock him back. Mankun frowned. Mufan stood steadily in front of him, his right leg slightly bent, his left foot at a right angle. His whole body did not move at all except for his right arm and the strands of hair on his forehead. "Hiss, I found a treasure." Mankun knew what this meant. He did expect that his thin body could have such strength. He could easily withstand a punch of level 9. This meant that his overall standard would not be lower than his own. Interesting. Good boy, I underestimated you. Pay attention. There are equipments over there. You can practice by yourself or with others. Do you have any other questions? Mankun pointed to the group of people in front of him on the right. There were all kinds of equipments piled up a few dozen meters behind them. Yes, Mufan's voice suddenly rang out. So sonorous and powerful that even startled Mankun. Does the martial arts school provide food? Mufan's eyes suddenly glowed with a fiery light. Yes, breakfast and lunch are provided by the martial arts hall, and dinner is provided by yourself. Mankun looked at Mufan with a strange expression. Is there anything strange about this? Can I eat first and then go to work? Of course, in another hour. Go to restaurant no. 3 for lunch and take a 1.5 hour break at noon. Then come here on time and I will assign you the sparring tasks for the afternoon. If you exceed the time limit by 5 minutes, you will be assessed 50 star coins. If you exceed the time limit by 30 minutes without reason, you don't have to come anymore. Mankun felt uncomfortable looking at the heat in Mufan's eyes and answered at the fastest speed. Thank you. I'll go to training now. You can come and play later. Mankun looked at the boy in front of him, who seemed to have suddenly gained motivation and was completely different from his previous calmness. He laughed and said, I just wanted to remind you, kid, go train over there by yourself. I'm going to report today's situation to the boss. Come over after you have eaten your fill at noon, don't be late. Well, when Mufan heard the word full, he felt as if a surge of energy surged throughout his body, and he was even a little absent-minded. Mankun looked at the boy in front of him, shook his head with amusement, and turned away. Mufan walked towards the sandbag and punching machine with his eyes open, then punched the sandbag with a dazed look. The sound of dong was extremely rhythmic, but if you stood nearby and watched for a while, you could obviously tell that Mufan was distracted. Chapter 9 in. If you have a big appetite, you must be awesome. Jello, who was not far away, had obviously noticed the situation here. Another round of deafening laughter came. Haha, kid, are you sleepwalking, or are you scared of the sandbag business? This is not a place for you to play house. Ha ha! Mufan continued to punch the target in front of him. All straight punches left, right. It was as regular as the breathing of a person who was asleep. If you look closely, it is not difficult to find that there is a little bit of crystal hanging at the corner of Mufan's mouth. His bright pupils are obviously not focused at this moment. After laughing, Jello looked at Mufan, who ignored him and felt bored, but he didn't know how to get angry, so he ignored the dazed boy. 5 minutes passed, everyone was practicing. Mufan punched one after another. 15 minutes passed and everyone was still practicing. Mufan still hitting again and again. Half an hour passed, and some people went to drink water and rest, but Mufan still maintained the same frequency. If someone was careful, it would not be difficult to find that Mufan's punching frequency was no different from half an hour ago. But the target platform remained motionless, and only someone occasionally glanced over here. 50 minutes later, most people had stopped to rest and talk. Jello also stopped, but Mufan was still punching with the same frequency. Some people had already noticed this and were talking quietly. This kid is really good. He has been standing there for 50 minutes without moving. Look at the target platform. It wasn't shaking at all. The guy's punch was also weak, and only a few muffled sounds were heard. Jello walked over again and wanted to give him a warning. Shh, look. Jello is slapping the guy. I think the force of his hand will knock him down. Ha! After drinking the water, Jello frowned, glanced at Mufan over there and walked over. Mufan acted as if he didn't hear anything. His pupils were still unfocused and he continued to punch at a steady speed. Hey, kid, try harder. Jello smiled with good intentions, raised his left hand and slapped Mu Fan on the left shoulder like a good friend. But he secretly used a little strength. People who weigh less than 100 kilograms can't withstand this slap. Mu Fan's body, which weighs at most 70 kilograms, definitely can't bear this. He stood there like a fool for a long time, punching without saying a word. Did he come to exercise? This attitude is really unpleasant to see. With a snap, just like what happened to Mankun at that time, the situation that Jello expected did not happen. He felt his hand hit as if it had hit a stone. And then he felt the movement of Mu Fan's joints when he retracted his left fist. Boing that he had lost face again. Jello looked down at Mu Fan, who slowly turned his head and smiled viciously. Then he saw the scattered eyes flickering. And then focusing on him, his dinner ready. Mu Fan's eyebrows suddenly raised. He stared at the giant in front of him. What? Jello's momentum suddenly dropped. Is it time for dinner? Mu Fan looked up at him and asked again. It's almost there. The giant in front of me was stunned. It was the first time I saw such a person in all these years. Thank you, Mu Fan. Hearing that it was almost time, his whole body returned to the spirit he had when he first arrived, and he even became more excited. Boy, you're thinking about eating before you even start working. How much can your body eat? Don't choke after taking a few more bites of rice. Jello came to his senses and said sarcastically, what is choking? Mu Fan felt that he had never had the concept of being full in his memory, let alone the word choking, so he really didn't know. The scar on Jello's forehead was throbbing with anger. If no one else was watching, he really wanted to punch the brat away. Boy, your appetite is directly proportional to your strength. After 2 years in the martial arts hall, Jello has become more and more vulgar, and his mentality after retiring as a mercenary has become more and more distorted. Don't act like a starving ghost and give up after just 2 bites. You are not allowed to take food out of the martial arts hall. If you are caught, they will beat you up. Dinner is about to start! Someone shouted over there, and Mu Fan's eye. He didn't care about the burly man in front of him at all, and ran over directly. Restaurant No. 3, the exclusive restaurant for the staff of the martial arts hall, is also spacious, since it is the closest on the first floor. These sparring partners went in first, and it seemed that there were not many people. Everyone lined up at the window to take out 2 boxes of nutritious meals and then took them to the side to eat. The difference between this restaurant and other restaurants is that cheap artificial synthetic nutrients are compressed and added to make different flavors. There is rich energy, protein, vitamins, etc. in it. But the taste is much worse than that of normal cooked food, and it is easier to cause satiety. Most people are full after eating less than 1 box, but compared with the synthetic food of the poor level, the energy per 100 grams of the martial arts hall nutritious meal is 4 times that of the poor level. Everyone came here because the food was free. Although it tasted bad, it was still nutritious. In the evening, they would take out some of the money they earned to go out for a bite to eat and drink. 2 boxes, next one. The restaurant service staff distributed nutritious meals in an orderly manner. Take these 3 boxes. Who was standing at the back, was stunned when he saw another tall man in front of him taking 3 boxes of standard meals from the restaurant staff. 2 boxes, take it, next one. Hey, why don't you leave? The people behind are waiting, hurry up. Mu Fan held 2 boxes of nutritious meals and stared at the person in front of him without moving. Then he pointed at the man named Kmo who had just left and said indignantly, how can he take 3 boxes? Is there a limit on the amount of food he can eat? Everyone around was stunned, then burst into laughter, and the person in front of him laughed so hard that tears were about to come out. Ha ha ha, I said. They definitely have different brains. Someone asked about how much to eat from the nutritious meal. Kimono's physique can eat it, but can you? This stuff is compressed, you still want to eat more. Aren't you afraid of being full to death? Ha ha ha. A loud and laughing voice like a bell came from behind. Jello saw this scene as soon as he entered the door, and he walked up rudely and pushed away the people around him. Everyone looked at Jello like a bear and no one had any objection. Jello walked up to him, looked down at Mu Fan, and said with a sneer on his face, watch this kid. Oh, yours? Jello held 5 boxes of nutritious meals in one hand, patted Mu Fan with his right hand, and pointed his chin in the direction of the lunch boxes. Did he see it? The amount of food eaten is directly proportional to one's strength. Then I'll take 10 boxes first! Mu Fan looked seriously at the food preparer in front of him wearing a small white hat. Ha ha ha, there was another burst of laughter all around. The little white hat was even more helpless, and hurriedly handed him 3 boxes, saying, finish this first and come back later. Prove your appetite first, then we will give you more. Remember, you are not allowed to take away any extra. Taking the 3 boxes of nutritious meals in his hand, Mu Fan nodded and said solemnly, I'll come and get them later, please prepare them first. The people around were laughing so hard that they could hardly stand up straight. Carrying 3 boxes of lunch, Mu Fan sat on a chair not far away and spread the 3 boxes on the dining table. A scent of synthetic meat wafted over, and his stomach growled loudly. He had never eaten so much in one meal before. Mu Fan, who had always been hungry, could not wait any longer. He grabbed a steel spoon and scooped out 1/5 of the nutritious meal without even chewing it. The rough taste did not prevent him from swallowing it in one gulp. Suddenly, Mu Fan's eyes widened. He could feel the hunger in his stomach. He felt that the poor-level synthetic meals he had exchanged for before would be gone after a little grinding in his stomach. But now he could clearly feel that the food was much more resistant to hunger than the poor-level meals he had eaten before. It actually expanded in the stomach first, although it only lasted for 1 second. The energy transmitted from the stomach to the limbs made him feel comfortable, even from the flesh and blood. This thirst for energy came. Although the energy sup nutritious meal was not as good as the better-tasting beast meat, it was absorbed faster and in large quantities.
This was the food he wanted. Satisfy! Chapter level 17!
Mu Fan finished the box of nutritious meal in just 5 bites. The refreshing feeling in his stomach, as if a dry field had fully absorbed the nutrients and moisture, made him feel light all over. Why didn't you come earlier? Mu Fan stared at the next box with red eyes, not noticing that someone had started to pay attention to him. He finished the second box in 4 bites, and the third box in 4 bites. Mu Fan's frail body seemed like a bottomless pit. After 3 boxes of nutritious meals, his stomach did not rise or fall at all, and was still flat. A bald man who had just finished less than half a box of food with a spoonful of food was standing opposite him, staring at the 3 boxes of food disappearing in an instant with a spoon in his hand. Mu Fan paused for a moment, then stood up to get a large glass of water. He gulped it down in one breath, then turned around and walked straight to the window to receive the food. He even drank a large glass of water. Wouldn't it swell up and kill him? The bald man forgot to close his mouth. It was a few minutes. No, 1 minute. But he ate 3 boxes. And he drank so much water. Nutritional meals will swell up quickly when they come into contact with water. This is enough to send someone to the clinic. 10 boxes please. Thank you. Mu Fan looked at the little white hat with eager eyes. Little White Hat had just delivered 2 boxes and was about to wipe his sweat when he looked up and saw Mu Fan standing in front of him again. Didn't I give you 3 boxes? Come back for more after you finish eating. He was obviously a little angry. It had only been more than a minute since he had distributed lunch to a group of people, and this guy came over again. Was he deliberately making trouble? I've finished eating. Please give me 10 more boxes. Thank you. Mu Fan replied politely. His adoptive parents taught him to thank people and be grateful since he was a child. The man in the little white hat looked past Mu Fan and behind him. There were 3 empty lunch boxes and a bald man holding a spoon with his mouth open next to them. The movement from Mu Fan's side had attracted the attention of the group of people just now. They all thought that they would wait 10 minutes to see this kid make a fool of himself. But as soon as they sat down, they saw this kid again. I'll give you 3 more boxes. If you eat too much of this, it will really cause trouble. Little White Hat's mind was a little confused, so he mechanically handed him 3 boxes and kindly reminded him, 7 boxes left. Mu Fan continued to stare at the little white hat eagerly, unmoved. Oh, the little white hat looked at Mu Fan with a creepy look and handed him the rest of the nutritious meal stiffly. Then Mu Fan turned around and prepared to go back with the 10 boxes of nutritious meals, only to notice that everyone in the hall was standing still and looking at him, looking at everyone's eyes. Mu Fan tightened his arms again. And the meaning was very clear. No one can snatch these from me. These are mine. Everyone swallowed their saliva. Even Jello was a little dazed. He looked at the 2 empty boxes that had just been lined up in front of him. And then at Mu Fan's half-meter-high lunch box. Suddenly he felt his stomach bloated. I am going. Is this still a human being? Is this a star beast in human skin? His appetite is so great that it even surpasses that of Jello. He will not be able to finish it, he said to himself with certainty. What if he really finishes eating? Someone next to him kindly reminded him.
Impossible!
Several people whispered in unison. Mu Fan returned to his seat and arranged the 10 boxes of nutritious meals in 2 rows. When he lowered his head to eat, he noticed that the bald man across from him was looking at him with his mouth open. So he reached out and pulled the lunch box closer to him. 5 minutes later, the cafeteria rioted. Oh my god, he actually finished eating! Mu Fan leaned back in the chair and rubbed his belly contentedly. He felt warm all over and instantly felt that today was the most memorable day of his life. Well, he was happier than when he picked up Haydn. That Haydn had to earn money to buy him a laptop. But here he finally had a full meal for the first time in his life. Burp. A light burp made Mu Fan squint his eyes. It felt so good to have strength in his limbs. He clenched his fists and felt like he had endless energy. The pile of lunch boxes on the table shocked everyone, including Jell. Good boy, you are really amazing. I, Jello, have always believed in a creed that if you have a big appetite, you must be awesome. I don't know if you are awesome in other aspects, but I am convinced by your appetite. Jello looked at the 5 empty lunch boxes in front of him and suddenly felt a real sense of frustration. He looked at the 13 empty lunch boxes again and said with conviction, Hey. Mu Fan stood up and stretched. So this is what it feels like to be full, so happy. He clenched his fists and moved his arms. He heard a crackling sound inside his body, looking at his belly which still showed no signs of bulging. Everyone looked at him as if he were a ferocious beast. Mu Fan walked out unconsciously, but his steps were slower than when he came in, and there was an obvious look of happiness on his face. 10 minutes ago, the maintenance personnel of Training Ground No. 5 walked to the target platform during their daily cleaning and equipment inspection. Hey, why is the hydraulic switch of this target platform not turned on? Looking at the punch mark on the target platform that could not rebound, the staff shook his head. He used so much force when the machine was not turned on. He hit a 4-ton steel ingot directly. He must have been sent to the treatment room. Oh, really? This target pad needs to be replaced. While muttering, he pressed the switch next to the target platform machine. With a hiss, the hydraulic axis started, and then he took off the target pad with the punch mark and replaced it with a new one, and continued his daily work. It is like the dewdrops falling on the water plants in the pond, creating a slight ripple and then disappearing, and the water surface returns to calm. When Mu Fan walked out of the restaurant after eating and drinking his fill, He saw people coming to the martial arts gym for training one after another. It was still break time. So he clicked on the electronic screen on the side of the corridor, which had an introduction to the facilities of the martial arts gym. First floor training grounds 1-9, equipment on the ground fighting robot 4-ton hydraulic target machine 1A, level standard strength tester upper limit corresponds to physical fitness standard level 20, instantaneous fee 350 kg. Muscle trainer, gravity room 1 4x gravity adjustable, payment standard 100 star coins 1 hour. Mu Fan's eyes lit up. The dazzling images and explanations made him excited. He was even more attracted to the last gravity room, however. He thought that 1 hour could offset his daily income, so he gave up. After looking through it, Mu Fan had a general idea of the martial arts hall. The first floor was mainly a training place for employees and ordinary guests. The second floor was a place for junior VIP members. Each training room was equipped with an identity recognition device and only served one person. The third floor was a place for senior VIP members. Each training room was twice the size of the second floor and equipped with a sparring partner. Guests could choose a sparring partner to train with. At the same time, the equipment on the third floor was higher than that on the first and second floors. The gravity room supported 1/8 times adjustment, but the cost was also sky high. Currently, only the rich or the noble could come to the third floor in City District 22. Shaking his head and not wanting to think too much, Mu Fan walked back to the training ground. At this time, the staff had finished their daily work and gone to eat, and the venue was empty. Mu Fan walked through each area with interest and tried it occasionally. He felt full now and had endless energy. So he wanted to find a place to vent it. He returned to the shooting table, smacked his lips, clenched his right fist, and suddenly exerted force with his shoulder and elbow. With a dull and powerful bang, he felt the shooting table in front of him shook back to offset his strength. Is it broken? Mu Fan didn't feel the same solid feedback as before. He thought the machine was broken but also felt very unsatisfied. He quickly scanned the surroundings to confirm that there was no one and hurried away. Come on, such a big machine, his salary can't afford to pay for it. 10 meters away is a large strength tester, lying there quietly like a planetary elephant, silent and When the boy passed by the big guy, he took a look and quickly confirmed that it was a strength tester, which was 4 times the size of the target machine. This should be broken. Right, with this thought in mind, Mu Fan stood still, gathered his strength, blasting out like a pneumatic hammer. After a loud muffled thud, set of date appeared on the electronic display screen. 3597 kg, level 17. This episode is complete. Welcome to subscribe. Turn on the small bell forward. Please leave your comments. I will continue to update the content behind.